Um, there's no kayaking today. It's with the wind chill, it's like minus 12 degrees out, and most of the river's frozen, so it'd be a little hard to get out anyway. And plus, I don't have a dry suit, which would be paramount to kayaking in this kind of weather. The real reason for this video, though, is to do a little rant, I guess you'd call it. Been doing a lot of research the last couple of days because it's been too cold to kayak on kayaking tours, places to go, the river trails across the United States and whatnot. And the one thing that comes across in doing all this research that I find kind of like ticks me off a little bit is that most of the stuff you see up on kayaking is either whitewater kayaking or kayak fishing, which I don't blame anybody for kayak fishing. It's just I don't fish. I've never been any good at it. But there's websites all over the place that just even when you go to sites like Yak Gear and NRS and those sites, it's all geared towards fishing or whitewater. Um, and then if you go out for if you want to go for an ocean kayak tour or a coastal tour or open water tours, they call it, depending on who you're talking to. First thing they say is you need a sea kayak, you need a skirt, you need to know how to roll. I got a 14-foot Wilderness System Pungo 140, and I go out and play around in Buzzards Bay. And if you ever saw any of my videos, you can see that sometimes Buzzards Bay, or as they like to call it around here, Bastards Bay, um, likes to kick up its heels every once in a while, and it does it rather quickly. So you got to be, on your toes. You have to know what you're doing while you're out there. Mine's an open cockpit. It's got a little console on the front of it. I use that console to hold the dry case that holds my cell phone and my glasses. Plus, it's got a dry well in it that I use to hold other items that I need. Plus, I've got my paddle mount, my paddle holder, and my GoPro camera mounted all on top of it. So I'd like to have that with me at all times so I don't use a skirt. I don't mind getting wet. I've been around water all my life, between surfing and canoeing and scuba diving, both recreational and doing underwater recovery for 20 years. Going out with a Coast Guard anywhere from flat water to 10-foot seas. I think I know what I'm doing when I'm on the water. And, so I'm having fun at it and going different places. I did a 40-mile trip this summer where I went from where I live here in Wareham all the way down to Mattapoisett Harbor and back 20 miles each way, right along the edge of Buzzards Bay. So that was a fun trip. Luckily, the weather was on my side, and I only hit one spot going into Mattapoisett up to Ned's Point Light, where I had 2 to 3 foot chop and a headwind. And after that, everything kind of calmed down and made it a good trip. But the thing is what about the rest of us out there? What about us that we don't do whitewater rafting, or the rest of us that don't own a sea kayak but can go out in water like I do? Because I've been out in Buzzards Bay when it was flat glass all the way up to 4-foot chop, 4-foot swells out there. And, even had to deal with a couple of 6-foot swells, coming out from the wake of a boat. And but the thing is, I know how to handle it. And had one day out there, I ran in a little trouble. I got hit broadside with a 6-footer thrown on top of a jetty and ejected right out of my kayak. And as you can see, I'm still here. And so it was kind of a harrowing day. Luckily, I made it to a place called Little Harbor Beach, and one of my neighbors was there. And we packed my kayak in the back of his car, and he gave me a ride home. But I go out with a lot of safety gear. I'm out alone a lot. I do carry a marine radio. I've got a signal mirror. I've got a whistle. I got a small air horn. I carry binoculars. I always have a chart with me. I want to know where I am, where I'm going, and where I can get to. So I know what I'm doing on the water. But the thing is for people like me, is I just like to, go out there and kayak. It's therapeutic. I'm out there all alone. I can paddle. I can think. A good day of paddling is worth, a week in the psychiatrist's office, is what I think. But the thing is I go out there and I enjoy nature, right? I enjoy, seeing the osprey and the cranes and, fish jumping. I saw a sea turtle this year. Um, I saw a harbor seal on my way to Mattapoisett. There's, all kinds of things you can see out there. If you know what you're looking for and how to enjoy it. I went out New Year's Day with somebody I just met, and we had a good time paddling and talking and everything else, and we're going to be going out a lot more together. So um, we sort of like enjoy the same things. We're not out to whitewater, or we're not out to do any fantastic sea kayak trips, but I am looking at doing part of the Main Island Trail for a week this summer with a couple other people. And we're gearing up for that. I've sit there and bought a tow line and a throw rope, and I put an automatic bilge pump in my kayak. There you go. I don't need a skirt. I got a bilge pump. So, what about the rest of us? Where do we go to find stuff? Where do we go to see what other people are doing, that are just out doing nature tours and stuff, and people who don't, own sea kayaks, but own like a good, in one review I saw my kayak, they called it an intermediate. They didn't call it a recreational. They didn't call it a sea kayak. They called it an intermediate, where we'll go out there and handle some of the rougher water, but but it's more for a day trip. I'm looking at making it into set it up so I can do like an overnight on an island. In order to do that, I'm looking at buying a kayak caddy. If you heard of that, you ought to look into that. That's a pretty neat idea. It's like a little trailer behind your kayak. So I'm looking at buying a kayak caddy before I go on this main trip, just so I have that to pack my camping gear in. Well, like I said, where do guys like me go? Who's paying attention to us? How do we get to talk to each other? There was not a lot of paddle clubs around here, and every one I've seen, everybody's got a sea kayak, and so it's like, even the business that's over in Onset and here in Wareham, they're sitting here saying they got tours and everything. It's 2 to 3 hours, and all the kayaks that you're using are all sit-ons, and it's like, yeah, I've been in those places, but, I want to do something else. And when I go out, I'm out for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours at a time. I bring plenty of water. I bring snacks. I bring food. So I go out well prepared. I mean, I'm not some idiot. But it's just like, does anybody out there have any idea or any suggestions? How do we start a group where we can talk to each other, and like, what do we do? How'd you rig your kayak? How'd you pimp it out? I just added a anchor trolley to mine. Because I do anchor once in a while on these trips I'm doing, like the 40-mile trip I anchored. But what I did is I added two cleats up on the side right there next to the cockpit, and I tie the anchor off to one of the cleats. Well, if you're out there in the wind and the current and everything else, now you're broadside to all this stuff, and it's not really an ideal situation to put yourself broadside in a kayak to the incoming chop or swells or wake from other boats, because it's a little hard to ride over, and either that or you wind up getting wet. Like on my kayak, the top half of the wave comes in my lap, and the bottom half the boat just rides over. So it's kind of comical being out there. So I added an anchor trolley, so now I can sit there and run the anchor up or back, and then I can sit there and the kayak can swing, so I'm pointed in the right direction while I'm anchored. But I mean, these are some of the things we can share with each other that aren't out there doing fishing or whitewater or any of that stuff, and want to go out and do touring and in a good sized kayak like I have, one it's stable in the water but can cut through the water. Just see how, we're all pimping out our kayaks and stuff would be interesting. And see videos from other people that are doing the same type of videos I am when you're going up a river, and you got all the wildlife there and stuff. If you see this video, share it with others. If you've got videos like I'm taking of your trips and stuff, let me know so I can subscribe to your channel. Watch your videos, and we can all have a good time together. So thanks for listening to me rant and rave. And this is Kayaking Joe of Buzzards Bay, or Bastard Bay as we like to call it. And they say if you can kayak out here, you can kayak anywhere. So have a good day.